Good morning. It's a beautiful day here. It's Sunday morning, and it's really strange. I love New York City. I've spent a lot of time here. I helped open a charter school here in 2009, 2010. Just kind of became a second home. Some of the best friends I've ever had in my life are here. But one thing that really bothers me about this place is the sheer volume of noise. Everywhere you go, there's noise. And it's just strange today. It's so quiet. It's a Sunday morning. It's early, but it's so quiet. Like mostly what I can hear, a little bit of traffic, but mostly just birds and insects and stuff. It's really kind of nice, unusual and nice. As we're continuing through Matthew from 24 on, verse by verse, we're essentially going from the moment when the disciples had asked Jesus, what it would be like in the end times and how will we know, and we go from that conversation all the way to the very end of the book. And this particular message, before I walked down here, I read it, and I just prayed a lot about it, and it really hit home on multiple levels for me. So let's pick it up where we left off. Matthew 26, verse 37. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee and began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. And he said to them, "My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me." He went a little further and fell on his face and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will." Then he came to the disciples and found them asleep and said to Peter, "What? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away again a second time and prayed, saying, "O my Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them, went away again, and prayed a third time, saying the same words. Then he came to the disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Behold, the hour is at hand, and the Son of Man is being betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. See, he who betrays me is at hand." And the reason this really kind of drives home for me on multiple levels is really this part where he comes to them again and they're asleep again. And what he's really asking them is, he says, "Watch and pray, lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak." And they, of course, fall asleep again. And what he's asking them, this is a spiritual war. There's a fierce spiritual war taking place right here. And you're sleeping. It is fierce. It is probably the most fierce spiritual battle that has taken place on the earth up until that point. And oh, sorry about that, Jesus. And then they just kind of fall asleep. He's saying, just pray. Prayer is so effective in the spiritual war. It's not just some words that we say to God. It's extremely powerful in the spiritual realm, and he's asking them to be engaged in that. And they're sleeping, but the part is the part that really hit my heart is when he says in 43, "And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them, went away again, and prayed the third time, saying these words." And ultimately he came and he needed them, but they dropped that ball again. And he turned around and walked away. He didn't wake him up at that time. He just turned around, said, "I guess I'm alone on this." And this bothers me for multiple levels. One, it bothers me that we would do that to Jesus, and we all do it. I do it all the time. You do it. It's what we do. There's times when God really needs us. And we're like, yeah. And then we just do this other thing. And he really needed them there. And we are the stewards of the Christian faith until Christ returns. So he needs us here. He needs us to be about our Father's business, but we're not. And at some point, he's just going to turn and be like, "You know what? I've asked too many times." And that's why it drives home on another level for me, is because I don't know why, but just whatever reason, I've lived my life where I've witnessed so many letdowns, so many people look you in the eye and say, I will be there for you. And then they're not there. Or it's looking, "I would never do this thing to you." And then they do that thing to you. Or even as far as like at work, "Hey, I have this project and I really just need you to do this part of it." And they just don't. And I remember probably at the age of like 25 thinking, nobody is reliable. You can't rely on anybody. And of course, that's proven to be somewhat wrong, but it's still a belief that in my heart, and this is a problem I'm dealing with, that when I need help from the world and they they drop the, I turn around and walk away. I'm better off on my own. I'm better off relying on myself because I know I'm going to come through for myself. And I tend to just do this. Anytime somebody drops the ball, I'm out there. Like, you know, sorry, I gave you a shot. And now I'm doing it myself. You know, now I'm just kind of, I've had to pick up all the things that I depended on you for and do it myself. And I think even if you talk to my loved ones, they hate that about me, is that I'm quick to just be like, well, then I'm out of here. You know, if you're not, you know, if you can't do this thing, then I gotta go. But it's just my nature. It's how I was raised, so to say, because the world is a huge, huge letdown. And I think that's why this is so hard on that level too, is I get both sides. I hate that this is happening to Jesus. I hate that he needed somebody there. Like, you know, this hardest point of his whole ministry, and he's standing there just needing his friends, his closest friends, his companions, his co-workers. He's needing them there, and they're not there. And I hate that for him because I know I'm guilty of it as well. You know, it's just the truth. But I also know exactly what he's going through. And I know that feeling where you kind of lay your eyes on somebody letting you down again, and you just leave it be, just turn around and walk away. And if that's in my heart, I know that the loved ones around me don't want me to be that way, is what they've communicated to me, my family over the years. And I know we don't want to be that way towards Jesus. But we are. And something has to change. I mean, when the Spirit dwells within, it's asking you, you know, I need you to do this thing, or I need you to do this thing. It's a big letdown when you don't. And I don't know how the Spirit works. It's a mystery to me. But I know we were created in God's image. And if it's anything like us, eventually it just quits asking. And I think that's the hardest part of this, is that Jesus, he just quit asking. Quit asking them to sit and pray with him. Watch and pray lest you enter into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went away again a second time and prayed, "Oh, my Father, if this cup cannot pass away from me unless I drink it, your will be done." And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. So he left them, went away again, prayed the third time, saying the same words. We can't be those kind of Christians. I think we have to learn from the lessons that they made for us, that when the Spirit asks, don't make it ask a third time. I hope these videos are helping. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support this channel, the Patreon, that link is below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so please don't ever hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, and love guns.